Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today I will be taking a look at one of my favorite video cards ever made. It's the 9800 GX2 from 2008, made by Nvidia. It features two G92 cores. Yes, this is a dual GPU card from the 9000 series, and it uses two 8000 class cores. So it's not your typical dual GPU card. The G92 core was used in the 8800 GT and the 8800 GTS as well. It has 1 GB of DDR3 memory, and that is combined between the two cards, so it has 512 megabytes per card. I have the EVGA Superclocked edition, which somehow runs at the standard clock speed of 600 MHz. Talk about lying about speed, man. Anyway, enough about the specs. How does this thing perform in games? This card only supports DirectX 10, so I wasn't able to run The Witcher 3 on it. I tried to play Skyrim, but that wouldn't start either. So the games that I ended up with in this benchmark are Rocket League, Counter-Strike and Burnout Paradise. So stay tuned for those results. Rocket League was the hardest game to run. One thing I did different in this video was that I sacrificed quality for FPS. So the games didn't look the best, but they ran better than they usually do in my benchmarks at max settings. That being said, Rocket League ran pretty good with an average of 52 on most maps except for the Aqua Dome map, which I usually hate. I would say that it was playable, even for competitive matches at 1080p. So rock on with Rocket League. You see what I did there? Damn it, no one gets my jokes. Next up is Counter-Strike, where I was pleasantly surprised by the FPS this card achieved. As many of you know, a lot of people play this game competitively. And you might have seen before in my benchmarks that I'm not one of them. So when I say that the game was playable for competitive matches, you should take that with a huge grain of salt. Anyway, the game ran very well with an average of 184 FPS. It had no issues running the game on low settings, that is, at 1080p. So, if you play Counter-Strike, this card would work for you. Now for one of my favorite games ever, and my actually favorite card game of all time. It's Burnout Paradise, which ran very well on this card, since it is a pretty old game, but that doesn't take away from the fun of it. I had a very hard time turning VSync off for this game. Defeated and humiliated, the game won over me and kept VSync on. So at 60 FPS average, it ran perfectly at 1080p. This is not an expensive card, but the power supply that you will need to get this card running is pretty expensive. On a different note, the power connectors light up yellow. So if it does work, you have some more lights in your system. Now that's pretty cool. The heat this thing kicks out, on the other hand, is not. You see my joke this time? Huh? Okay, moving on. This card is, in my opinion, one of the coolest reference designs that Nvidia has ever made. And that's pretty much everything it has going for it. It looks cool, and if it's winter, I guess you can heat up your room with it. So that's it for this video. I'll see you again next time.